Sainz couldn't hold on to that podium place any longer. Fernando Alonso on his first start for Aston Martin, now into the top 3.
Vamos!
The 2023 Formula 1 season could be a huge step forward for Aston Martin.
Yes, bye-bye.
There is a lot for the fans in green to be excited about, and rightfully so. After an amazing Bahrain GP where Alonso took 3rd place, the team from Silverstone is flying high.
We didn't expect to be in the podium, to be honest, in 2023.
With how things are looking, they're shaping up for a successful 2023. But how has Aston Martin improved so much during the off-season, and what can we expect from them in 2023? Let's get on with the video. When the AMR23 was unveiled in February, it got a lot of attention in the Formula 1 world.
We just need to make sure that it's fast. It's up to us now on every race we can.
During pre-season tests, all the analysis has said that the Aston Martin was one of the fastest cars in the braking zones at Bahrain International Circuit. It was even faster than Red Bull. Sergio Perez, who had worked with the team before when it was called Racing Point, said that he thinks Aston Martin will be in the fight for 1st place. Even though the top drivers gave the car high marks, Alonso didn't make any big claims about what it could do early in the season. He said he didn't think the car would be able to compete for 1st place in Bahrain, but after the first weekend, Aston Martin exceeded the expectations and then some. Many people wondered how Alonso would do at Aston Martin because he had a hard time getting along with people on his previous teams. Most recently, he told everyone in Alpine that he was leaving all of a sudden last summer. Before that, he had left Ferrari on bad terms at the end of 2014 and gone 4 years without a podium at McLaren, where he was unhappy with the performance and engines of the cars. So how would he get along with Stroll, the son of the owner? Well, so far so good. Stroll came in 6th in Bahrain, even though he wasn't even supposed to race because he hurt his wrist in a bicycle accident before the season and couldn't test. Alonso was very impressed with Stroll, who had also broken a toe in the accident. Lance did an amazing job. He was a hero today for driving so well so soon after being hurt, said Alonso. The team is full of energy. Everyone is working hard right now and we're all very motivated.
Behold, the new world champion.
Alonso has been thought of as one of the best drivers in F1 for a long time. 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton once said that Alonso was the hardest racer he had ever faced.
It's been a real honor and privilege to race in the period of time where he was racing.
Stroll isn't as good as Alonso, but not many people are. The Canadian driver, who's 24 years old, has been on the podium 3 times in his career. However, he has his critics who often point out that his dad, Lawrence Stroll, owns the team. No one could question Lance Stroll's determination to drive in Bahrain though. Despite the great start, Mike Crack, the team principal for Aston Martin, wants his team to keep their feet on the ground. Crack said that before the race, the team didn't fully believe in their abilities. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll did end up giving the team the best race result since the 2020 season, but Crack said that it was really important to do well and use the car's full potential. This was the team's 7th double point finish since it became Aston Martin 2 years ago. Crack said that the team's plan was really well carried out. In some ways, Aston's success was predictable, but it happened much faster than anyone thought. In the past few years, there has been a lot of change, and good people have been put in key positions. That's starting to come together now, and the new factory isn't even up and running yet. It does use Mercedes parts that are allowed by the rules, like the engine, driveline and rear suspension, but it's done a good job with them, especially compared to the factory team. Just look at how Alonso was able to attack when neither Mercedes driver could. This suggests that Alonso's car had more downforce. It also gives people in the pit lane hope, because if they can do it, so can we. Right now, that's what's driving Mercedes and to some extent McLaren as well.
Aston Martin hype train has definitely left the station.
Now, hype train is one of those idiosyncratic online phrases that it's made its way into everyday speech. It's been used a lot lately. Before the 2023 season, it was often preceded by Aston Martin on social media because of how excited people were about the Silverstone team in testing. The idea was that the British racing green cars could theoretically beat Alpine and McLaren and take over the best of the rest spot, which Alpine and McLaren have held for the past few seasons. The leaders of Aston Martin tried to play down expectations, but testing showed that the team was getting better under the technical direction of former Red Bull Aero chief Dan Fallows. It looks like the AMR 23 has not only closed the gap between the middle of the pack and the top three, but also passed it. Aston Martin has kept up the rate of improvement it showed last season, when it went from having the 9th fastest car to being in the running for 6th in the Constructors standings. Importantly, the car has all the key qualities it needs to do well. It's fast, has a lot of downforce, and can be steered easily. Alonso said over the radio, "This is a great car to drive," as he drove to 3rd place in Bahrain. Now that getting on the podium has been checked off the list, the question will be how to improve. Stroll laid out an ambitious 5-year plan to turn Aston Martin into world champions, and the remarkable and almost unprecedented turnaround from last season suggests they're ready to take on the sport's so-called Big Three of Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes. They doubled their headcount from 400 to 800 staff, splashing the cash to poach some of the sport's top technical talent along the way, including Dan Fallows, who had a huge hand in building last season's dominant Red Bull machine, and former Mercedes aerodynamic chief Eric Blandin. And with Alonso at the wheel, a driver ranked among the best ever, they're suddenly a force to be reckoned with. Aston Martin buy their engine, gearbox and rear suspension from Mercedes, while also borrowing their wind tunnel. However, the Silverstone-based team will soon move into a new state-of-the-art factory and have use of their own wind tunnel, which is only likely to accelerate their rise to the top of F1. If the AMR 23 is open to a clear and defined upgrade path, the team might be able to show that Russell's prediction of a clean sweep by Red Bull is wrong. Engineers are in charge of making the magic happen. At the start of last season, Aston Martin was stuck with a car that was painfully slow and difficult to drive. Earlier last year, they decided to build a completely new model for 2023. Since then, they found almost 2 seconds of time on the track, which is unheard of in modern F1. At the Sakir track, this put them way ahead of the rest of the pack, in what could have been the second fastest car after the Red Bulls.
We thought just to start the project, change the concept of the car, try to be in the midfield or in the front part of the midfield, and then eventually in 2024, get closer to the top 3 teams.
Going down the inside, Martin, what a move from Fernando Alonso!
And we found out that we had the second best car in Bahrain, just behind Red Bull.
Their success will be painful to watch with Mercedes, but even more so for midfield rivals McLaren and Alpine, who have been trying to make a similar step up for much longer and with much more money. Mike Crack, the team principal, has been in charge of a remarkable change, and with a new factory and wind tunnel coming online at Silverstone this year, it's likely that Aston Martin will get even better. Already they have 23 points and a podium, and it's easy to see how Alonso, Stroll and the rest of the green-clad awesome Martin crew work together. After struggling for years with McLaren and Alpine, Alonso seems to have finally hit the jackpot with his career choices.
You are happy now, happy not in Alpine.
And most importantly, he still has it. There is still a good chance that Alonso could still win this year if he gets lucky and the wind blows in the right direction. After how he did in Bahrain, it's very unlikely that he'll retire soon.
This is a lovely country, right?
It's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on Aston Martin this season after this race. They have a high quality experienced driver, that's for sure, and as it seems they also have a good car. So what are your expectations about the Silverstone team? Could they compete for a podium every race, and could they finish in the top 3 in the Constructors' Championship as well? Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below.